Hello, and welcome to the Urban Polling Podcast. I'm your host, Joy Cochran. By trade, a doctor of physical therapy and the clinical evidence specialist for urban polling. I'm excited to have you join us for this engaging conversation with Deb Gokie, the Vice President of Consumer Health and Ease of Use for the Arthritis Foundation. She's going to provide us an introduction to the Arthritis Foundation, touch on some of their amazing patient resources, go into depth about their ease of use program, which the Activator Poles have their seal of approval. We also discuss why people would use the Activator Poles even if they don't have arthritis. I think you will find this discussion very inspiring, so without further ado, let's get started. Thank you, Deb, for being here today. We're really excited to have you as part of the Arthritis Foundation. We always like to start with a little bit about yourself, maybe your professional background, and how you came to work for the Arthritis Foundation. And I know we've just been talking a little bit before this, and we have in common that we're both from Nebraska, which is kind of cool. But anything else personally that you would like to throw out there and share, we'd love to hear as well.
Okay. Well, oh gosh, I have more than 25 years experience in the nonprofit industry. I started my career at JDRF, which is Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, and I came to the Arthritis Foundation 9 years ago. They recruited me to come over, and it was time for a change. My son has type 1 diabetes, so that really was where my passion lied. But we kind of all talked as a family and felt like there was something different and new that I could bring to the foundation. So it's been a real journey of learning about arthritis and all the different kinds of arthritis. And so I've really enjoyed what I'm able to do. And to your point, I'm a Nebraska girl. I still live in Nebraska. Our headquarters are in Atlanta, Georgia, so I go there quite often. But I travel a lot for work, so it's always nice to come home to Nebraska. So
Excellent. Yeah, that's I love going home as well to Nebraska just because it is home, and so a lot of my family is still there. But I'm just like you. I've lived almost everywhere, and I love to travel, but going home is always nice too, just to
yeah.
be back home every once in a while. So, but I am in Wisconsin now, and when I first got here, I was like, I'm getting out of here really fast. But there's really beautiful things here in Wisconsin as well. So, well, that's awesome. Can you tell us a little bit more for the people that aren't familiar with the Arthritis Foundation, kind of what their mission is, what their outreach is, and talk about the different types of arthritis?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the Arthritis Foundation really focuses on driving ways to find a cure for people with arthritis. And we have several different areas that we focus in. We have science and research. We have advocacy and community. And so we have different teams that really focus within those things. In science and research, we invest several $1,000,000 in focusing on, ways to help cure and fund or treat different types of arthritis. And our advocacy team, we have an office in DC, and so they really focus on, how to provide, the best care. So there's, like things like step therapy, and they're constantly working with senators and representatives, and trying to educate them, and really the value, and also building advocates. We have more than 150,000 advocates throughout the US that really share their stories and help advocate for change, and we've been able to impact a lot of change within that industry. And from a community perspective, we have so many resources on arthritis.org where oh my gosh, just things, whether it's from how to eat a healthier lifestyle or how to adapt when you're exercising. There's lots of different types of information. And, there's over 100 types of arthritis. We really focus on 6. If you think about rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, juvenile arthritis, gout, and psoriatic arthritis and ankylosing spondylitis, which sometimes is referred to as AXPA. So those are our 6 areas that we really focus on because we feel like we can have the most impact on those areas. And then we do so many community support groups and have just started over the last year and a half to provide a lot of support for veterans and really work with veterans in addition to all of the different support groups that we provide. So it's there's a lot that we do really to help the community. I could go on and on about all the different things that we do. There's so much, and I think if anybody is listening and wants to learn more, they can go to arthritis.org and find, tons of things. And then we also have fundraising events too, where there's walks in May during Arthritis Awareness Month, and we have Jingle Bell runs, which are really fun. You can dress up in costume during the holidays, so usually in November and December. So we have 2 really targeted community fundraising groups.
That's amazing. So I want to touch on a few things here, but we're
Okay.
going to start with the research piece of it and finding a cure. So I'm a physical therapist, so I work with a lot of people that have multiple different types of arthritis. I even have arthritis in my big toe now. So I'm managing that on a regular basis, but I never think about it as finding a cure for arthritis, right? Like I work with other like I work a lot with people with Parkinson's, and I know we're fighting to find a cure, but can you kind of dive a little bit further into where they're at finding a cure and how that's going? Or
It's a great question. And I think, where we right now, from a science perspective, have 3 priority focuses in osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and juvenile arthritis. And I think there are some areas where we're looking at, the percentage of people who can't use any treatments that are available because they're just not working. So we are doing research on, okay, what's that gap and how do we fill that gap and how do we look to create or find or fund more ways to treat people that are not responding to existing treatments available. We have a study right now, a clinical trial that we're funding called the Picasso trial, which is on osteoarthritis in the knee. And so we're, doing clinical trials, and what does that look like? And we work with a nonprofit called CARA and its childhood registry, and we work with them on, what we're looking at as far as, kids with juvenile arthritis and how do we change the threshold for them. So I think, in a perfect world, every nonprofit wants to cure a disease. And I think as we work towards that, we will also want to look at ways is how do we give the arthritis patient a yes? Like if they can't get up in the morning, how do we help them change that part of their day? Or, someone who is a new mom who might have rheumatoid arthritis and her meds aren't working correctly and she's got so much joint pain in her arm she can't hold her baby. The stories like that we hear. How do we help change that for her today as we continue to work out and all the research? Or if somebody's struggling to walk to their mailbox to get their mail, think about that. That's tough. Or if a kiddo is got their joints are so swollen that they're not able to go to school for sometimes a week. So there are things like that we're working with. And we also fund fellows and try to encourage physicians to go into practice for rheumatology because there's such a shortage. And think about if you have to get on a plane to go see your physician, that's crazy. It should be that you have it available. And we were just able to place someone in Wyoming so that the community there doesn't have to go to Denver. So, we're working and making impact in several different ways. So it's really exciting to be part of that. And, I'm no expert in our science field. We have a whole science team that really focuses on what they're doing, but it's really impactful on the changes that we're making and the ways that we're able to give patients a yes.
that's that's excellent. I love to hear that. And so let's dive a little bit deeper then into the treatments. Like, what would you say, or what are you telling people in regards to the best treatments, or what are the best treatments that are out there?
We don't actually say what the best treatment is because we don't endorse. There's not a best treatment for what we can say. Really, the best treatment is the decisions to be made between the physician and the patient and what works best for the patient so that, we're certainly, we don't know what that best treatment is, but we know that there's a plethora of treatments available. And so we try to share all of, that information, or if a new treatment comes out, we put that on our website and share it. But we really feel very strongly that the best treatments are between the patient and their physician, and those decisions should be made between the two of them.
That's good to hear. I like that, right? Like, so you're trying to connect people to really be able to find the best, and then empowering the patient to be able to have a say in that with the physicians.
Yeah.
I think so. For me as a therapist, a lot of the times I hear like, "Oh, I have arthritis. I can't do anything."
Mhm.
Right? And so I'm like trying to help people understand that movement really helps people with arthritis and can help get rid of some of that inflammation and help to lubricate the joints and help with that range of motion, and really trying to empower them to get moving a little bit more, but maybe in a different way than that what they would, or maybe in a different way for a while until they get strong enough. Not to increase their pain, but knowing that if they start gently, the more movement that they get, usually they're going to see positive results. And even for myself, like I told you, I have arthritis in my big toes, and that's not what I thought it was at first, right? Like, I'm like, I can't have arthritis. So I'm like, but my toes are hurting. And it was at a time where I had reduced the amount of exercise that I was doing. So I kind of decided like I need to practice what I'm telling people to do on a more regular basis. So when I upped my exercise routine, the pain in my feet like pretty much has gone away. And
Wow.
I'm like, it is crazy. Like, and I know that's what that's the biggest thing that I can attribute it to. But it's not always the same for everybody, right? Like
Right.
everybody experience and journey is independent, but I think the exercise piece is huge. The other one that I really see and hear from people, I think, is the nutrition piece, right? Helping to get that inflammation reduced. Do you have any comments about nutrition or anything, or exercise?
We have so many different resources on our website where we have all kinds of recipes that really speak to an anti-inflammatory diet. We have different ways that you can modify your exercise. If, for example, if you're a runner and you're experiencing knee pain, we have suggestions that, were developed in partnership with the CDC. And so there's all kinds of resources on our website because, to your point, every patient experiences their own individual, and some days you can't do anything, and some days you feel really great. And we just have a lot of different resources. We also have what I think is so great about the connect groups are, sometimes it's just even in your mental health when you can't do something, it's nice to have a connect group so that there are people that you can reach out to and just say, I'm struggling today, and they can empathize. Because if somebody doesn't have arthritis, it's a little bit more difficult to empathize with someone when there is somebody you can talk to who does have arthritis. So we really offer support through all kinds of different areas. To your point, with exercise, with diet, mental health is a very strong area that's important to us as far as what we do, because we know that that also impacts. So there are a lot of things. We have the ease of use certification too, which I know we're going to talk about a little bit, but that's an area where we're working with the packaging industry to try and help them start designing products and packages that are easier for people, not only with arthritis, but with, everybody to use.
Excellent. So, I would highly encourage everybody or people, if you have arthritis and you haven't seen a physical therapist, I would think that they are another huge, great resource for people to connect with, in addition to the resources that you guys have on your site. So I want to dive in a little bit more about your community support groups that you've been talking about. Are they live and in person, or are they virtual, or how would somebody get connected to that?
They were all live and in person before COVID, and then we shifted to virtual. And now it really depends on each one of our leaders of the support group or we call them facilitators. They've all been trained by the Arthritis Foundation. And then there's subjects that we offer out to them to, pick a category, and then we have materials that will help them sort of um, teach probably isn't the right word, but just to bring us, a subject in to have a discussion. And they can find them and sign up for them on arthritis.org. We have on our landing page, there's an area that you can click on to connect to your community. And it really varies depending on each community. So, some support groups may decide that they want to do it in just virtually because that's what this particular group can do. Others, they'll go in person and have a support group in person. And, we have someone that oversees all of our support groups and works with our facilitators and, really helps to offer up different suggestions and areas to bring up with subjects. So it's a really great resource. And I think what's so exciting too is as we brought in the veteran community, we have support groups specifically designed for veterans. And I think that's just another area that is really needed. And, we're able to address that. And it's been really exciting to see.
Yeah, it's just taking it one step further in regards to bringing people together that they connect with each other because they have something else in common, arthritis and their veterans. I think that it's powerful to be around people that you can really relate to.
Yep, agree.
So, Urban Polling and the Arthritis Foundation have been partners for quite a while now. I know that I've seen webinars with Nick in regards to the Walk with Ease program. I don't want to dive into that too deep because I do want to talk about the ease of use program, but can you talk about the Walk with Ease program just a little bit?
I could touch very highly on it. I really don't work in that area at all. Nick is the expert in that area, and he, oversees the program and works with our different communities that, utilize the Walk with Ease program. There is a book that helps trainers, and that's another way where we bring people together to really implement walking in as part of your healthy lifestyle. But I don't want to touch too much on that because Nick is the expert in that space, and I don't want to give you any wrong information.
I appreciate that. And if people are interested that are watching this, I know that on Urban Polling's website, we just posted again actually the webinar with Nick. We posted it on our social media again so that you could go back and rewatch that. But it's a great program to add polls to, and that's why he was on the webinar talking about how the benefits of adding polls to walking for that. But let's talk about the ease of use program. And I know that we have been approved through our Activator Poles have been approved through the ease of use program. I think this is the third or fourth year, but can you really give us exactly what that means and how we got approved, like the whole rigor process of being able to get approved?
Yeah, so our ease of use program is where we certify products and packages that have been independently tested as easy to use for people with arthritis or chronic pain. And then I like to say if it's easy for someone with arthritis or chronic pain, it's easier for everybody, right? I oversee the program, and what we do is if a company has a design that they feel like is very easy to use, or they've really implemented the design in there that is easy for people with arthritis, they can apply for a testing process. And we have the product or package go through both lab evaluations and human factor evaluations. So there's lab studies that are done, and then we use arthritis patients through the human factor evaluations. And we work with an independent lab, and they've really set up standard guidelines in partnership with us on what we feel and determine is necessary for a pass or a fail in ease of use. And once the product goes through, if they receive a pass, then the Arthritis Foundation, we will license the ease of use certification seal to the company, and they can use it in all of their marketing. And what we're finding is it's becoming more and more of a shelf differentiator. We've done a lot of studies where with both consumers without arthritis and consumers with arthritis, and know that 74% of consumers would purchase a product if it was easier to use, and 54% of people that live with arthritis would buy a product that's easier to use, just, outright. So we know that it makes a big difference. And it's really exciting because we just also launched, in partnership with Target, ease of use design guides. And we launched 2 of them 2 weeks ago, and we have 4 more in development. And they're the first design guidelines in the country that engineers and industrial designers can use as a resource to help them implement easy to use design into, right. The first ones are in rigid packaging. So if you think about like a trigger spray, like a Windex trigger spray, what does that design look like? And are there 3 fingers or 1 finger, and how much pressure to pull back on when you have to pull back on it? Because that makes a difference for people with arthritis. And, it's how do you hold it, and do they have to tilt? And, from a physical therapist, what, the value and importance of that is. And there was nothing like this available. And so with Target, they funded the project. Their creative team has designed it, and we've brought the expertise to the table. And it's really exciting because we are really trying to develop more innovation in the design space and ultimately bring more products to market that have easier to use designs in them, not only for the arthritis community, but for everyone.
That is so great.
It's
That is
cool.
so great. It is definitely needed. And I love Target.
Don't we all?
Oh, that is amazing, because yes, it does make a difference. Like, I've had some experiences, because when I teach the activator to end users, we have 2 different techniques, and I usually try to teach them both because it depends on the person as to which one's most appropriate. But a lot of the times, our poles are it has a ledge on, they have a ledge on them.
Yeah.
So it helps to relieve some of that pressure from them having to death grip the handles, because their hands can just rest right on there. And their hands are in neutral, but a lot of them find that one technique is more comfortable than the other. So if they tell me, like, I can feel it in my wrist, I'll be like, oh, let's switch to this other technique. And they're like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've even had people come to my workshops, and I mean, this one lady specifically, she was like, Joy, I'm here, but I don't think I can do anything because I have arthritis so bad. She's like, so I'm here to do as much as I can, or at least try it. And I'm like, I appreciate that. Um, but she bought poles at the end. She's like, oh my gosh, these make me feel so much better in regards to her hands. She's like, I don't have to death grip. You're right. I can just let my hands sit right here, and they take some of the pressures off of my knee joints and my ankle joints. And so she went on to tell me that she is from Nebraska too.
Oh,
Um, she was she had a family member that had cancer, and so they did a walk for cancer. And she's like, I would never have been able to do that walk without my poles.
and see, that is all, if you come to think, we're giving her a yes. So in our collaboration, as you guys design a product that works for somebody with arthritis, and we're certifying the product, and that that is something that is helping, we gave her a yes to walk around, for the cancer walk. And so that is really what we're about, is as how do we give a yes to today? And when you have a design that is easy to use, think about a bottle cap that's easy to turn and open, or we have garden nozzles that it's very easy to lift up, and to hold and grip. I mean, when you do that, you're giving somebody a yes to go out and be able to live and do something that they couldn't do, because she wouldn't have been able to walk that walk without the poles. So it's really cool. It's so It's so rewarding. I'm sure you feel the same way. It's very rewarding to be part of how do we impact change and really make a difference in how somebody can live their daily life.
That's it. It never gets old. It's like those heartwarming stories of how we are able to improve people's quality of life. It's
Yep.
like brings tears to your eyes every time.
Yes.
Like it's so awesome because now they're out able to go out and do more things, and over that's going to increase their mobility, that's going to increase their overall health, and it just is a snowball in the positive direction.
Agree, 100%.
Yeah, it's excellent. So we've talked a little bit about the activator poles and how they're good for health and for people with arthritis. I'm going to ask you, have you ever used the activator poles?
I don't have arthritis and I walk every day, so I don't like, do I need poles? I don't know. You're a PT. I have not tried them. I've seen them and I love them. I think the design on them are so cool. I love the red ones. I think they're really funky with the little, design on them, but I have never used a pair. So tell me, how do I need to, or how do I implement that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, hadn't used them for a long time either. I was introduced to them and I brought them into the clinic to start using for my clients. And I was seeing like they changed my clinical practice. They were making such
Wow.
great improvements for my people with balance, for my people with Parkinson's, for my people with stroke, arthritis. And I'm telling them all the benefits of them, but then I'm like, I'm not using them myself, right? They're activating 90% of your body's muscles, right?
Oh,
So if you're gonna go for a walk, why not get a better walk? Because now they're engaging your core with every single step. You're getting an arm workout with every single step. They're increasing the caloric expenditure that you have. So you're spending more calories just by using poles by 20 to 46%. So
oh, I
that's
can use
huge.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
So we have two different poles, and our activator poles for the ease of use have a bell bottom at the bottom. Um, to help people with a little bit more safety and to help offload joints a little bit more. But we have what's called booty bottoms or boot
Okay.
bottoms. And that's what you would want to use because then you're
Okay.
going to hold the poles and do our urban pulling technique. And the poles are going to help propel you forward. So you will definitely feel yourself
Make a
walking
difference.
faster. And
It's
on
so
top of that, if I haven't used the poles in a while, and I always tell instructors, like, you need to watch out because you're going to feel it in your arms because you're using muscles that you don't usually use. And sure enough, they always come back to me and be like, I didn't think you were talking to me because I'm in really good shape. And they'll be like, but my triceps are really sore.
That is good to know. And it's so interesting because there's a couple people in my neighborhood that I see out walking with poles, and they're older. And so in my mind, it's the stigma. I'm like, oh, I don't need poles because I don't have an issue with balance and I don't, any of those issues areas. And then I'm like, when you were talking, I was like, ooh, it's the same stigma that people have with arthritis because they think about, oh, only old people have arthritis. And when you think about it, kids get arthritis and can be very, very severe. And young women and men have arthritis. And it doesn't discriminate. And so I love that you have poles for everybody and that they make a huge difference. So I may have to try a pair of poles.
You definitely need to try a pair of poles and just think about other countries. Like in European countries,
Mhm.
poles are introduced to people at a really young age, children all the way up to older adults. Like they're not stigmatized over there, right? Like they're just a part of their life because they do a lot
Wow.
more walking than we do here in the United States.
Mhm.
So changing that mindset, absolutely. And that reminds me of another example that I have. Like my boyfriend, when we would go hiking, right? Because they're really good for hiking, he would get low back pain and he'd be like, I can't go any further. I'm like, you got to try poles. And he's like, I'm not trying poles. And I'm like, please just try poles. And he finally ended up trying the activator twos and he swears by them now. He's like he can go and hike for unlimited amount of miles and not have any more back pain. And he's actually a better promoter of like we'll be out at the grocery store and he'll be like, "Oh, that guy needs a pair of poles over there."
That is crazy. Oh, I love that. See, I'm gonna have to definitely try them, get some but will the activator ones, the certified ones, will those help me too, or should I get the other kind?
No, I think so. I promote the activators because they have some safety features
Yeah.
that are different than the other poles. And so one of the other safety features that we haven't talked about today is that it has a pin locking button system.
Mhm.
So you lock it into place and it's not going to do anything. Where our other poles that we have on the market that come with the booties, it has a twist lock. And so if you have that arthritis or that weak grip strength, you might not be able to get it locked into place. So even though you don't have arthritis,
Mhm.
I'm like, why would you want to buy another set of poles? I always just promote the activator poles, and that's what I use. And I just switch out the bottoms because
Oh,
you can
okay.
easily take off the
Yeah.
bell bottoms and put on the boots. And then it has a carbide tip down there too. So if you're hiking, you don't have to put either of the bottoms on. You can just use that carbide tip
I
if you're
love that
hiking on grass and gravel.
yeah, it goes back to the point of if it's easy for someone with arthritis, it's going to be, easy for somebody that doesn't have arthritis too. And so that's great because I feel very strongly that, I was asked, I was a panelist for an association a couple weeks ago, and one of the companies said to me, do you see any issues when you talk about accessibility design products that companies don't want to do that? And I said, we don't actually talk about it from an accessibility perspective. We talk about it from an ease of use design perspective. Because think about, none of us can get a jar of pickles open, right? I mean, there's a product that I go into and I don't buy it anymore because I can't even get my hand wrapped around it to get it open. And the last time I purchased one, it's like a container of nuts and it's in a square container with the I couldn't get it open, so I ended up throwing it away. So my point is, if you can make it easy for someone to open, it's easy for everyone. And it even goes into food waste because if somebody can't get something open, and they have to call their neighbor every time or ask another family member, ultimately they're either not going to buy it again or they're going to throw it out. And so it is just easier for everybody. Once you make a design and you implement it, it's so needed in the US, I think. And it's needed everywhere. But we there's a survey that McKinsey did in August of 2024 or 2023, so last August. And they surveyed 14,000 people for post-consumer shopping habits. And ease of use came in third behind hygiene and shelf life. So hygiene and safety and shelf life. And then they wanted easy to use products. And that is pretty telling from I was surprised to see it, but I think it's very telling that people want to be able to utilize products that are easy to use, whether it's walking poles or, you know, just anything that you use. So,
On a daily basis. Yeah,
mhm,
absolutely.
mhm,
That study is interesting. I wouldn't have thought about that either.
yeah, yep, very interesting.
Well, excellent. I've really enjoyed talking to you today. Is there anything else that you would like to touch on in regards to the Arthritis Foundation that we haven't talked about yet?
I think just one more thing to add about ease of use is that we have so many products that are currently certified. And if you go to arthritis.org/ease of use, you have an opportunity each product has their own page on our website. And there's an opportunity to click on any of those pages and purchase the product. We also certify several medical devices. You can't obviously purchase those, but you can see which companies are working to make sure that their medical devices are easy for the arthritis community and other patient communities to use. But you can purchase any of our certified products through arthritis.org. The links on each page take you, it's usually to their Amazon shopper page or to the company's own website to purchase the product. We have tons of really great products out there that are available right now, and we continue to get more. So I would encourage people to go to arthritis.org ease of use to find ease of use products. And if they want just resources of any kind to help with our arthritis, to go to arthritis.org.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. That is all great information. I've learned a lot today, and I really enjoyed meeting you. So we value your partnership, our partnership with the Arthritis Foundation, and I know that we can continue to grow and help people improve their quality of life and their overall health together. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me, Joy. It's been really great to meet you. And I also love that we're both Nebraska girls. So that makes it's a small world, isn't it?
It is such a small world.
Well, I'm glad that together we're able to start and continue giving arthritis patients a yes, because that's really important to us. And, as we've talked about today, we're doing that and we're impacting change. And, I think whenever we can do that, it's just it's a great partnership. And so we value your partnership. We are so appreciative of your innovation and design in the poles, and look forward to doing more things together.
Absolutely. Thanks everybody for being here, and we will see you next month.
All right. Bye.
This podcast was presented by Dr. Joy Cochran, PT DPT. Edited by Rodrigo Silva, Urban Polling Marketing Manager. You can buy Urban and Activator Poles visiting our website, urbanpolling.com, or on Amazon, searching for Activator Poles. Thank you for listening.